I've never been very good at sports. I once threw a javelin in PE and managed to smack myself in the face with the other end of it. So, yeah. I was pretty much the stereotypical chubby, nerdy kid who was far happier reading or drawing or playing Spyro the Dragon than I was being forced to run around and get yelled at while people threw things at my face. So arguably, my complete lack of interest in sport has far more to do with it being a form of ritualistic high school bullying than it does to do with me being a woman. But you don't actually need to know very much about sport to see that it's riddled with sexism. Yay! It's been quite a big year for sport so far. We've had the men's football with Euro 2012, and the tennis at Wimbledon, where Andy Murray was almost the first Brit to win since 1936. You know, apart from Virginia Wade, who doesn't count because she's a woman. There's been some kind of men's cricket on telly, and the men's cycling in the Tour de France. And as a Londoner, how could I possibly forget the fast approaching 2012 Summer Olympics and Paralympics? Yay! Did you know Sega have released a video game to go along with the London 2012 Olympics as well? They don't cover all of the games, because it's quite big, but here's what they do cover. And I just assume that the Paralympic video game is going to come out separately later in the year? Yeah? No? So, lots and lots of lovely sport. Lots of mostly male sport. Which is not actually all that surprising when you consider that only 5% of sports media coverage is of women's sport. And that's actually pretty good, given that only 0.5% of sponsorship money goes towards women's sport. Men's sport gets 62.1% of sponsorship money, by the way, with the rest going towards team sports. So there's no money in women's sport, and barely any recognition, and subsequently far fewer role models, but what we do get is increased appearance anxiety and gender policing. So, you know, you lose some, because we all know sport's a boys' thing. So when a woman's interested in sport, it must mean that she's a tomboy, or just, you know, one of the guys, or just a big old lesbian. At least that's the assumption, leaving women who do pursue sport as a career or as a hobby under increasing pressure to demonstrate their femininity, and discouraging women from taking an interest in sport in the first place. Which finally leads me on to the aspect of women's sport which makes me the most angry. You may remember 4 years ago when Olympic athlete Caster Semenya won gold at the 800 metres and was subsequently publicly humiliated by having her gender questioned because she was too good to be a female athlete, apparently, and so must have some kind of secret male advantage. So now Caster and other female athletes like her are only allowed to compete if they submit to either invasive surgery or drug treatment to lower their testosterone levels to what's deemed acceptable female levels. That's the official policy of the International Association of Athletics Federations. There is so much to unpack in this last point that it really needs an entire video in itself. We have this idea that sex and gender fit into these neat little boxes, so you're either male or you're female, and there's a hard line between the two, and that just isn't true. Caster, as it turns out, is biologically intersex, as are a whole bunch of other people in the world. Not that it's anyone's damn business. And that doesn't fit into our little male, female, boxed up worldview. So we expect her and others like her to change to make things simpler. But there's even more to this, because this is only happening to female athletes. If a man had low testosterone levels, whether that put him at a disadvantage or not, we wouldn't care. But we've decided that women are an inferior class when it comes to sporting ability. So there's a threshold as to how good you can be before people start to question whether you're actually a woman anymore. If a basketball player is naturally taller than all the other players, that's fine. Or if a runner has inherited twitch muscles, which means they can run faster than anyone else, also fine. But there's a line between the genders in sport. We're expecting female athletes, you know, other human beings, to have unnecessary surgery that lowers their athletic ability because their biology doesn't fit with our faulty definitions. That is just all manner of fucked up. As usual, I'm going to put a whole bunch of links in the descriptions with articles relating to the stuff I've mentioned in the video. In particular, please do click on the link to the petition from Stylist magazine, who are running a campaign to increase the funding and representation of women in sports. And in addition to signing the petition, you can also help the campaign by tweeting, "I demand a better deal for women in sport" with the hashtag fairgame, which I'll put here. So yeah, I still don't really care about sport. I haven't bought any tickets to any of the Olympics, but I do care about gender equality, which is what this channel is about. So please do check out the links, and I'll see you next Monday.